Hey guys, today we're taking a look at the dope sequel to Species. Now if you haven't seen the original, don't worry, I have a recap for that one too. A group of astronauts is on their way to Mars. Oh look, some advertisements for the Martians. The main astronaut guy, Patrick, gets off the spaceship, plants the American flag, stands proudly, and collects a couple samples of Martian dirt. The whole event is being broadcast live. We see a man in a mental ward watching in despair as the mission proceeds successfully.
I told him not to go!
Welp, that just about wraps up this whole mission apparently. Time to head back to Earth. Uh-oh, it looks like one of the samples is defrosting. The sample container violently bursts open as a symbiote-like creature oozes out. It flows towards the crew before exploding outward. I'm sure everything's fine. The astronauts head home and we cut to a delightful view of a woman strapped up in a chair contained within a glass cage. This is Eve, a more docile clone of Syl, the hot alien girl from the first movie. Laura, the female scientist from the first film, leads this operation. They're running tests on Eve in search of vulnerabilities so that humanity can better defend itself in the event of an alien invasion. Toxic gas fills the cage and Eve screams in agony, begging Laura to help her. It seems the experiment is a success as Eve is covered in wounds. The military official overseeing the test is quite pleased. Well, until those same wounds miraculously heal in seconds. Eve's alien biology is able to adapt to everything they throw at it. After the test, Eve somberly reflects on her life as a lab rat. She reminds Laura that she's still human, and Laura acknowledges this and reassures her that she took this job to make sure her well-being was a priority. The astronauts make it back safely to Earth. They undergo preliminary tests as several excited onlookers watch. Fortunately, the crew's in perfect health, but just to be safe, they need to abstain from sexual activity for the next 10 days. They're less than pleased by that news. During a celebratory fundraiser hosted by Senator Ross, Patrick's father, Patrick decides to throw caution out the window as he makes out with the groupie. He's called to the stage to give a speech, and he rushes over. Patrick reflects on the incredible experience of being on Mars, and how tiny and insignificant the Earth looked, particularly how easy it looked to destroy. That's foreshadowing. Patrick heads off upstairs to his hotel, and the woman from earlier, Marcy, is there waiting. And she brought along her sister, Lucy. A steamy threesome commences, with Patrick taking turns between the two girls. Somehow, Eve seems to be telepathically linked to Patrick. Her heart rate accelerates throughout the course of the threesome. Marcy leaves to the bathroom while Patrick gets to work on Lucy. In the bathroom, Marcy begins to feel something in her stomach, and before you know it, she's in labor. The accelerated alien pregnancy has left her with a bulging stomach. She panics. Meanwhile, Lucy's dream come true turns into a nightmare. As tentacles sprout from Patrick's back, she begs him to stop, but the primal alien DNA has taken over him, and he keeps going. Back in the bathroom, Marcy's belly splits open, and out comes bursting a horrifying alien-human hybrid baby. Back in the lab, Eve's excitement reaches a fever pitch as she crushes a baseball with her hand. Afterwards, Patrick hides his two new sons in a secluded cabin and later confronts his senator father. Patrick tells him that he doesn't feel good and can't remember what happened to him after the fundraiser. His dad is a real no-nonsense guy and tells him to man up. He also knows what he's been up to.
You keep your dick in your pants and your eyes on the prize.
We cut to one of the Mars mission scientists, Dr. Arinsky, desperately trying to contact Dr. Cromwell, the nutcase from earlier. Apparently, they were former colleagues. Arinsky examines Patrick's blood and sees the alien DNA taking over. Before Arinsky manages to speak with Cromwell, a beaker containing Patrick's blood tips itself over and shatters. Something's not right with this blood. It begins to trail off with a mind of its own towards the wall. Arinsky walks over to inspect, then an alien arm erupts from the wall, disemboweling him. That was fast. Laura meets with Gerald of Rivia. Just kidding, that's Colonel Carter. They proceed to discuss the autopsy findings. This murder was definitely carried out by a human-alien hybrid, but it doesn't quite match Eve's DNA. Plus, she's been strictly contained and monitored. We cut to Preston, the mercenary character from the first film. Seems he now goes by Press and operates a private business offering security services. He's giving a demonstration to a crowd of an anti-hostage attack squad when Colonel Carter pulls him aside to share the great news. There's another alien running amok, and he needs Press's help to stop it. Again, he declines, but is quickly persuaded.
$1 million, tax-free.
Attaboy. Colonel Carter takes Press to the lab where Eve is being held. Eve and Press lock eyes before Laura angrily escorts him away. She explains that Eve is a more docile clone of Syl. Her mating instincts have been turned down, and they also limit the amount of testosterone allowed near her. Press is quite surprised to see Laura running this operation, remarking that the old Laura had more soul. They had a bit of a fling in the first movie. They bicker a bit before the Colonel sets them straight.
You killed one of these alien things before, do it again.
After going over Arinsky's phone records, Press and Laura decide to check up on Dr. Cromwell, the former scientist that was exiled to a loony bin. He explains that he was tasked with examining a Martian meteorite that landed in Antarctica a few years ago. It contained fossilized life from another galaxy. Cromwell theorized that Mars was visited by plague-like alien species over 1 billion years ago, turning it from a lush planet to the lifeless rock we know today. When he got wind of the impending Mars mission, he warned them profusely not to go. In retaliation, they silenced him by firing him from Stanford. The harassment got so bad for him that he ended up breaking the Pentagon general's jaw in a fistfight, which landed him in his current predicament. Press and Laura relay this news to Colonel Carter, and further theorize that the astronauts might have been contaminated by Martian samples. He's quite skeptical, but Press motivates him to act.
They could f the human race into extinction.
The Colonel suggests they start with Patrick. Patrick is seen about to do another dirty deed when Press busts down his front door, brandishing a sideways pistol. That's how a trained mercenary holds a gun. Patrick and his friend don't seem to notice and continue onward. Press barges into the bedroom, but no one's there. Patrick is not at his house. They decide to check on the other astronauts, starting with Anne, who's about to make love with her husband. They speed over to their house, with Press sensing that something's about to go down. Anne and her husband have just wrapped up, and within moments, her belly expands to full capacity. Her belly bursts, and the terrifying alien inside her flings a tentacle appendage towards her husband's face, mutilating and killing him near instantly. Press and Laura run up the stairs and bust in. He shoots the alien, and Laura sprays it with some kind of gaseous weapon her lab devised. Anne is unfortunately dead. We cut to Dennis on a boat date. He's about to get laid, but gets an untimely interruption instead. They take him to the lab and test his blood while he's interrogated. They ask about Anne's recent behavior, but he claims she's been normal. He demands to know what happened to her, and they break the news. He's shooken up. The situation escalates, with things nearly becoming deadly, before the test results come back negative. He's not infected. The morning after his encounter, Patrick awakens to see a dead girl. Her stomach is wide open, and a small toddler stands beside the bed. Patrick is sickened, but knows what must be done. He grabs a shotgun as Dennis drives up to his house. He attempts to kill himself, blowing his brains out. His alien powers kick in, and his head grows back. Dennis watches in shock and reports back to the lab about what he saw. He decides to join the effort to stop the calamity from continuing. Patrick's suicide attempt wipes away his inner humanity. He proceeds to go on a hooker killing spree. He runs through quite a number of them and ends up with a small village of children. Not sure how he's feeding them all. Eve feels every encounter Patrick has, prompting Colonel and Laura to discuss Eve's latent telepathic abilities. Her alien side is suppressed, but can be opened up with radiation. Laura doesn't want to do it, aware of the pain it will cause Eve. But Eve is willing to help and undergoes the procedure. Her inner alien is awakened, and she can now see everything that Patrick does. They play a game of telepathic telephone with Press and Dennis as they hunt down Patrick. He's at a supermarket in the cereal section. Press really needs to know where that is.
Where's the goddamn cereal?
Patrick signs an autograph for a girl before abruptly grabbing her and dragging her off to his truck. Press and Dennis follow along in perfect synchrony. They walk up to a gyrating van, and Press breaks the window before waving his gun around inside. Uh-oh, looks like this was the other van people were having sex in. Honest mistake, Press. Over at the prime sex van, we see Patrick in the midst of mating when he suddenly connects with Eve. He's now aware of her. They share a little moment, and Eve broadcasts her location in the lab. Patrick loses interest in his catch and angrily shoos her away before stepping out of the van. Press and Dennis apprehend him. He submits peacefully, feigning ignorance about anything alien-related. Eve senses him approaching as they drive into the facility. Patrick is initially calm, but breaks free in search of Eve. She begs Laura to open the door, but she of course declines. Patrick barges into the room. Nothing's getting between him and Eve. They lock eyes and breathe heavy, separated only by a thin glass door. Eve has visions of them mating in their true alien form. Patrick runs up on Laura, violently demanding she let Eve go and nearly killing her with his dexterous alien tongue. Press comes to the rescue just in the nick of time, spraying Patrick with the gas gun, which causes him to run away. Afterwards, Dennis is seen eyeing Eve up. She follows his gaze with lustful eyes before noticing something and quickly becomes apathetic towards him. Laura explains that the aliens can sense genetic defects and that Dennis has a recessive gene for sickle cell anemia, hence why he was spared infection. The aliens are vulnerable to human disease. Laura reasons that they can weaponize his weakness. Patrick returns to his cozy cabin in the woods to greet his children before being stopped by his father. He tells Patrick that he knows what happened and wants to help him. The military, on the other hand, wants his head, but he assures him he'll keep him safe and get him the best treatment available. Patrick embraces his father and cries for help. They share a heartwarming moment before Patrick's inner alien awakens, sending a tentacle up his father's gut and through his mouth. Patrick's gaze turns dead as he looks upon his offspring. Time to eat up. Back at the lab, Laura has synthesized a toxin using Dennis's blood that should neutralize the aliens. Meanwhile, Patrick's cabin is now full of cocoons baking away. Patrick is a very loving alien father, standing by and watching proudly as one of his sons materializes a cocoon. Press and Dennis gear up, choosing a pistol and a machete, respectively. They're about to head off when Eve escapes. Damn, she's strong. The military shoots her down, but her magic alien powers kick in, healing her instantly. She gets in a car and drives off to Patrick as the group follows suit.
How in the hell does she know how to drive?
Her favorite show's The Dukes of Hazzard.
She arrives at the cabin and makes a beeline towards Patrick. They begin to mate. Laura and Dennis spray the cocoons to death using the gas gun, while Patrick and Eve get it on. They shed their outer human form, and Eve entangles him with her tentacles. Press walks in on their mating ritual and points his gun at the strange cocoon-like construct they've created. For inexplicable reasons, Press politely asks Eve to move out of the way. Great idea. Patrick, now a gargantuan alien male, promptly emerges and knocks Press and Dennis on their asses. Laura pleads with Eve to help them, and she complies, erecting spikes from her back that impale Patrick. He shrugs it off, then knocks her back before continuing the mating ritual. Eve struggles, and Patrick transforms into a more powerful two-headed alien to restrain her. He finishes up, killing Eve in the process. Laura is heartbroken. Patrick goes back to having one head, then attacks the group, starting with Press, who shoots him, and Laura, who sprays him. Neither are very effective. Dennis cleverly tells Press to use his blood. Press stabs Dennis in the leg with a pitchfork, covering the tips with his DNA. He then hurls the pitchfork at Patrick. It's a critical strike, taking immediate effect. Patrick slumps over and dies. Press and Laura share a celebratory cigarette
Did you start smoking?
Just now.
as medics tend to Eve and Dennis, who is in good spirits. Oh, and then this happens. Thanks for watching, everyone. If you enjoyed the video, please let me know in the comments. I read them all and I comment on them all because I have no life.